And let me share my screen. Okay, I'm hoping everybody can see my screen here. All right, we'll get started. So I am Tina Barnett, and I am the Tech Ed Program Manager with LEARN Idaho. I've been teaching Tech Ed classes to older adults since 2022, and absolutely love it. It's a great way to connect and also to up my own tech game. um, I'm with LEARN Idaho, and LEARN is a nonprofit, and our mission is helping people navigate the joys and challenges of aging and caregiving. And we do provide free tech ed and other types of education. I'm out in the community doing in-person classes around the Treasure Valley, and we have a regular schedule of classes at Dick Eardley Boise Senior Center. So you can always join me or send people to my classes. So today we are going to talk about using AI as your care partner. So if you're in this class, you must be interested in AI. And I'm wondering if you can give me a thumbs up if you've got some experience with AI. So we're going to try to cover the spectrum of those that have worked with AI and those who have not. This class, we won't be discussing sort of the ramifications of AI on humanity. That's a bigger topic, and we all have our own suspicions about what might come, but it's here, and it can absolutely be a game changer, helping you navigate all kinds of tasks. So I want to make this as fun and engaging as I can for you. So there will be some time to jump in. If you have something you'd like me to ask AI so you can see how the magic works, you'll have an opportunity, hopefully, to do that. So we're going to talk about using AI from the perspective of using it as a tool for busy caregivers. So what is AI really? It's like having a very smart assistant. Say it's read millions of books, articles, conversations. What's really cool is that you have a plain English conversation with it. It's available 24/7. People ask it all kinds of things. So we're going to focus on caregiving, but we can also step outside that space. So again, conversational. You don't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be in perfect grammar. Spelling doesn't have to be correct. And you'll see how that works as we go on. And it is trained on a vast amount of information. But it is a tool, right? It's not a replacement. You are still the overlord of this tool, right? You're the one that decides whether or not you want to take its advice. You decide to check its sources, and you can also ask it follow-up questions, which can be really, really helpful. But it's still you running the show, right? It's not making decisions for you. So why use AI if you are a caregiver? So I think we've all heard these huge numbers, 63 million plus unpaid caregivers in the United States. It's a 24-hour job often for many. Many are averaging 27 hours a week. We've heard all kinds of numbers during this presentation, this conference. The number one challenge that a lot of caregivers speak to is time management. So we're going to look at how it can help you with time management and other topics. So you can think of it as a second set of hands, right? Can't do the physical work, but it can certainly help with the mental load, right? Organizing things, researching topics, drafting emails, for instance, setting up calendars, etc., so that you can get reminders of uh, appointments, medications, etc. So let's look at some options. Um, there are free AI tools that you can start um, using today. I'm going to place in the chat at the end or at some point during, I've got let me get that in there. Let me copy and paste this into the chat if I can. I've got several helpful worksheets that can help you sign up for different chatbots. So let me get those in. So these are links to my guides, and you'll see that the second guide is getting started with AI assistance. So that's going to give you a step-by-step guide to how to sign up for some chatbots. They're free. Of course, they all have places where you can subscribe. They will limit your engagement, meaning you might time out, you might run out of usage on a day and have to come back another day. I encourage you that once you get started, you could try with one, but maybe sign up for several. You might find that you enjoy one more than another, find it useful, more useful, or you can even switch to a different chatbot if you run out of free on one platform. Okay, so we have ChatGPT, that's by OpenAI. They were kind of the first on the market for consumers to use. I think many of us have seen that one around for a while. There's Claude, which is a little bit different, but they all have very similar response. There's Google Gemini. If you are a Google Chrome user, you may be seeing that Gemini is giving summaries and other sort of AI engagement right at the top when you do a Google search, and you can do a deeper dive. The reason to sign up accounts on any of these chatbots is because they will remember your conversations. If you're using it without signing up for an account, it won't, once you close it, it won't remember that conversation. So you can't really come back to it and keep continuing a conversation. So that's why I encourage you to set up accounts, and that guide, Getting Started with AI Assistance, will give you step by step on how to do that. Okay, so today's demo, we're going to use Claude, and we may pop around to ChatGPT and Google Gemini just to show you how similar they are to each other, but how different they can be and how they respond to you. Okay, so how do you talk to an AI? So there's an art, they call it prompting. That's the word that is used to describe how you engage with it, what you say. It's a prompt or it's a query. It can be a question or a statement, but it's just starting an engagement with the AI. Okay, so think of it as giving directions to a helpful stranger. The more context you get, context means give it more information, help it understand what you're asking. But there's no wrong way to ask. So instead of this, we have this prompt on the left-hand side of your screen. Help me with my mom's medications. Fairly vague, right? If you were talking to a human being, they would start asking you some follow-up questions, which the AI will do if this is all you say. But to save time, go ahead and put as much information in as you think the chatbot might need to make that decision. So be specific about what you need. You can give context, who, what, when is a good sort of guideline or starting point. And then you can ask follow-up questions because it is a conversation. So I'm going to switch my screen. Here we are now in Claude. As you can see, I've set up an account. I'm using a free plan. It says, hello to me. Good afternoon, Tina. This is where I can upgrade. Certainly, they want to take your money. I encourage you to use it for free because there's a lot that you can do there. So here, I'm going to take that prompt that we just saw and I'm going to paste it in to this space, just like in a text message, right? You just start talking. You'll appear on the left-hand side. My mom takes 5 medications. Can you create a simple daily schedule showing which ones she takes in the morning, noon, and night, right? So it's kind of a vague little, it's still a little bit vague. So let's see what it says. So here it's following up with us, right? Do you see that? It's saying, be happy to help create a schedule for your mom. However, I need to know which 5 medications she takes and when each one should be taken, right? So I've started the conversation. Um, and then it'll also ask you what times are the meals they're associated with. So you do have to help it build this schedule, right? With more information. Um, so I had another little one here. Let me just put some example medications in. So here's our follow-up, right? This is called iterating. It's what they call it. It's a big word for just continuing the conversation. Okay. So here I'm going to paste that. There's a beta blocker with food, 2 high blood pressure meds, losartan and hydrochlorothiazide, vitamin D and Celebrex taken with food. So let's see what it does now that I've put more information in, but I haven't really answered all its questions. So I'm going to click here on the right-hand side. I need a bit more detail about timing for each medication. So it's still asking me more information. Say I don't know. I'm going to come in here and say, I don't really know timing. What is your recommendation? Okay, so now what we're seeing is let me create a recommended schedule based on common medical practices for these medications. So you can see that it's thinking, right? And now it pops open this guide on the right-hand side. Okay. It says morning, take your blood pressure medication and your vitamins. Evening, take the Celebrex. And then notes and rationale, which you can read and focus more on, right? So let's say I'm going to iterate this conversation a little further. I'm going to leave this here on the right-hand side. I'm going to come into my little box at the bottom and I'm going to say, this is good. So I'm going to confirm that I want to accept that. Create a schedule I can copy into a document to give to my mom. Thinking. Ignore this. We're getting a little bit into the weeds here. It's always a little bit unpredictable what it's going to do, but we'll come back to this and see what it created. Okay, as we let it cook. Okay, so here we've tried the prompt, a little more prompt. We see that that didn't necessarily get us all the way there. It started our conversation, but we could have even started with this prompt. It's just not as complete. Okay. So I use it frequently to simplify medical jargon. I have access to my 92-year-old mother's my chart. And after she has an appointment or some other medical procedure, I can go in there and read. Many of us use that space. I can read the documents or the summary or recommendations in that space. Often I don't understand because it's got all kinds of medical jargon. Um, and so I can actually, I've copied and pasted an entire CAT scan That was my most recent, and it gave me a breakdown of what that meant, which was really helpful. So here we have this scenario is you've just received a diagnosis letter full of medical terms you don't understand. Let's ask AI to translate it into plain language, right? So let's open up our chat bots. Okay. Here we have the daily medication schedule. So it's got a little schedule document that we can download onto our computer. It's going to download it into some sort of document form, depending on what you have, pages or say you use Word, right? And then you can print that, for instance. Okay, so we're going to start a new chat in Claude. We're still in Claude, and I'm going to copy some language from a medical doctor that I don't understand. So can you explain this diagnosis in simple terms? My dad was told he has bilateral moderate stenosis of the carotid arteries. What does this mean, and what questions should I ask the doctor? So here we've got context. Not only do you want to know what it means, but you're asking here for a follow-up conversation with the doctor. You don't have to do this, ask for the follow-up with the doctor information at this point. That could be further down in your conversation. But here we're asking for more than one thing. It can handle a lot of requests at one time. So here is an explanation of what it means, what this means practically, and then important questions to ask your doctor about severity, monitoring, about treatment, about daily life, risk factors, etc. Right? So then it gives you a little pep talk at the end. Good news is that moderate stenosis can often be managed effectively with medications and lifestyle changes. Does anybody want to come off mute and ask me a question? Feel free to do that if you have a question. So here in this space, we can continue conversations or continue the conversation. Say there's something in the explanation that I still don't understand, right? I can still follow up with uh, another question here in the conversation, right? I could say, define uh, bilateral, right? Maybe it didn't define it well enough for me. Okay. So there's anything that you want to know about in this conversation, you can break out and ask more questions. You can iterate and keep going on the conversation. When I have this account set up, where I've set up an account in my name with a password, I'm going to open up this sidebar, and you can see that now it's actually, here's where I start a new chat. I can search for chats, but here are recent chats. So it's going to hold all your conversations in the sidebar, and it's going to automatically name your conversation. Say 4 or 5 days pass, I want to come back to this conversation. I can either search for it, or I can just search through kind of, if it's recent, I can just sort of look down and see if I can find it. And maybe I have more follow-up questions for it. That can be really helpful. You won't have this particular feature if you don't create an account. You can still use it free. You close the site, you close it down, you come back, it's not going to remember your conversations. So you can see how helpful that can be. Okay. All right. So what's another type of activity that we could do? We can organize appointments and schedule. Sometimes often we're taking care of more than one person. at a time, especially if we're sort of that in-between generation, right? So maybe you're juggling multiple doctor's appointments, therapy sessions, your own schedule, say you're still working full time, etc., right? So here's an example prompt. I need help organizing my mom's medical appointments for this month, right? So I'm going to copy that and paste that in. And let's try a different chatbot. So we've been in Claude, and now I'm going to go over and try it in ChatGPT. It's a very similar look, right? So we're going to come into that space there, and we're going to paste our question and ask it. So here is a printer-friendly weekly checkout that you can use and reuse for next month. Okay, simple format, right? And other questions that you can add on, like is transportation needed, medication list needed, etc. Right? So you can't actually print out of this space yet. Some of them are changing, but you'll need to copy it, which is available at the bottom here. It says copy, and you can take that and put that into some other kind of document. Okay. We've got a question here. Are your conversations with AI private? Well, yes, to a certain degree, but you're still, so these, when we use things online, like Facebook is free or AI is free, what are they taking from us? They're taking our attention, our behavior, right? They are learning about how we think and engage. They're in this space, they're training the chatbot, right? We'll talk about safety, what you should and shouldn't put in here. You can delete conversations. I believe that when I delete a conversation from Claude, it's deleted from my site, but it is in no way deleted from Claude's. So they're using it to train their chatbots. And these are large companies, and there are privacy issues for sure. Okay. Hope that answers your question. Yeah, Google search can be used to get all this information. So the question is, how's the best way to access ChatGPT and Claude apps and websites? I do both. So in that handout that's in the chat, there's instructions on how to download it as an app to your phone, how to download and how to use it from the website on your laptop. So I have it on my phone. I have it on my laptop. When I talk to Claude on my account, it syncs. And so when I pull up my app on my phone, the conversation's there. Okay. All right. This is awesome. I highlighted the doctor diagnosis on my chart when I don't understand. It still comes up with words I don't understand. Yeah. So that's what's great about the iteration, right? Is that you are able to fill in the gaps that you don't know, ask for a deeper explanation, and also learn at your time. Sometimes when I'm at a doctor's office or in some kinds of meeting, my brain kind of sits down, as my mother would say, and I don't remember to ask the questions, or I don't retain what they're telling me at a particular time. So AI can be really helpful in helping you understand, which is important. Any other questions? Anybody want to come off mute? All right, drafting messages to care teams. The scenario, you need an email to your dad's doctor about a medication concern, but you're not sure how to phrase it professionally, so you can let AI draft it. I know doctors are really busy. I know their staffs are really busy. And I want to be as concise as I can be. I don't want to get too off in the weeds when I'm asking them questions, because I want a good answer and I want to help them understand what I'm getting at. And so here's an example prompt. Help me write an email to my dad's cardiologist. I've noticed he's been dizzy since starting a new blood pressure medication last week. I want to ask if this is normal and whether the dose should be adjusted. And then here you see I'm asking the chat bot to keep it polite and concise. So I'm also in this moment setting a tone. I don't have to do that in the first conversation. It could create a response for me that I think is too sharp or too rigid. And I might ask it, oh, make this a little bit friendlier, right? As a direction that we could go. So here I'm going to copy that into another chat bot. Let's try Google Gemini. So Google Gemini is that space that you're seeing when you're doing a Google search, right? It'll have deeper dive and you can engage with it there, but remember, it won't remember your conversation. So you can set up a separate account to go to Google Gemini, right? So here, let's paste that one in. These things down here are just sort of suggestions, things that it's saying, hey, maybe you'd like to try this. You can click any one of those, right? So, but let's use our prompt. And you can see the interface is very similar, right? Over here, when I can expand my menu and see other conversations I've had, and also how to start a new chat, okay? So here we see that it's set it up in an email format with the subject line. You can also plug this in my chart. My chart also has that subject line, Dear Dr. So-and-so, and then the information, right? This is a pretty simple one, right? But say you had more complex questions that you needed to ask, you would put those into the original prompt, and it would help you write that email. And then you can copy and paste this into my chart, we're typically conversing with doctors through my chart, right? Okay. So self-care and stress management. So we know that caregivers don't have a lot of time to themselves. Self-care is definitely the item that falls to the bottom of the list for many people when they're taking care of folks. So here is an interesting scenario of how to engage with AI on a more personal level, right? Asking it for help with sort of your personal day-to-day world, right? So the example prompt is, I'm a full-time caregiver for my husband. I have about 15 minutes right now, right? This is sort of that desperate moment. You got the time right now. You can't really plan ahead necessarily. I'm feeling really stressed and overwhelmed. Can you suggest a quick relaxation exercise? And also help me brainstorm ways to build small self-care moments into my week. So let's go ahead and paste that prompt in. I'm going to go back. Let's choose Claude. We're going to start a new chat. It's important not to mix your conversations up, right? You can see that I try to keep my conversations on one subject. Otherwise, if I had continued this prompt over in understanding carotid arteries, I could type my prompt in here, right? Or paste it in. But it's going to be lost. It's titled Understanding Carotid Artery Stenosis. I'll never find it again. Maybe I want to refer to it again. So a good practice is starting a new chat. Let me paste that in. Okay. And then we're going to ask. Look over at the left in recents, you can see that it's already named it Quick Stress Relief for Caregivers. I can actually hit those three dots and rename it if I want to. Okay. So, well, sorry. I got some kind of prize. I've never had that happen before. I don't know what that was. So here you can see quick relaxation exercise, 5 minutes, right? And so let's try box breathing, which is a powerful and calming breathing technique for nervous systems. Many of us have maybe heard of this one. And then it gives you just a step by step of how to do that and how long, right? Building in small self-care moments. Here's some ideas that can fit into the margins of caregiving. I mean, that's pretty cool, right? While your husband is resting or occupied, keep your favorite coffee or tea and sit down and drink it slowly. It's funny how we often have to be reminded of those very simple self-care tips, but it's nice to have it. Do a 5 minute guided meditation. Even it suggests an app to use, which is Inside Timer, that has free short ones, right? Step outside for fresh air, piggyback on existing routines, play music while doing household tasks, use a shower if you can get one, right? Uh, as a mini retreat, take an extra 2 minutes under the faucet, right? Connecting with others in tiny ways, uh, evening wind downs, etc. And what you'll see at the bottom is what kind of things have historically helped you recharge even before caregiving. That might help us identify what would feel most restorative to you. So here it's trying to get you to give it some feedback. Maybe it will offer a little bit different advice based on what you're suggesting. So Carlos is asking, will Claude do the same as ChatGPT? Yeah. So we've been toggling back and forth, asking questions to both. Let's go to ChatGPT and let's start a new conversation, right? And let's see how ChatGPT handles this exact same prompt. Okay. So I'm going to paste it in, which is our full-time caregiver. Give me some suggestions for my downtime for stress, right? So we're going to see how Claude answers this, right? So it's already different, right? I don't know why they're different. They're all educated on all the digital information that's out in the world available for them to be educated with, but it can give you a different vibe. That's why I suggest signing up for more than one. Maybe you like the vibe of one over another, or you can go back and forth and get more information. So here we have a 10-minute reset and release exercise, right? So it's a breathing exercise, a little bit different, but still suggesting a little more in depth with body softening, right? So it's 10 minutes versus Claude gave us 5 minutes, right? So a little different. And tiny self-care moments that actually feel fit caregiving life. Drink water. Step outside, get some fresh air. All those reminders, right? Here's stacking self-care, meaning adding things together to create a little mini stress release engagement. And then here, ChatGPT gave us a little bit something a little different, which was a simple weekly rhythm, right? Where it's recommending scheduling these things during your week. You could take this and build that into a schedule with medication reminders, appointments, all of those other things, right? Maybe you have to remind yourself to do these things. I know I do. And then down at the bottom, another similarity is that ChatGPT, remember we're in ChatGPT, is saying what tiny habit feels easiest to start this week? When during your day do you feel most depleted? Who in your life would be a part of your support circle, even in small ways? So each one wants you to engage with it. This might be all you need, right? But maybe you want to refine um, what you're experiencing with it. Here you can do that. You can have follow-up conversations. And they do the same thing, but they do it differently. Okay. All right. So tips for getting the best results. Um, be conversational, talk to it like it's a helpful friend, right? Ask follow-ups. Say, can you make that simpler? Right? Or can you make that more complicated? Or explain it to me like I'm 10 years old. I do that all the time, especially when I'm using it for tech support, which I encourage you to use it for tech support. Um, let's see what we've got here. Will getting them free give you the same information as paid for? Huh? Probably just it'll cut you off once you've used it to the maximum of what they're allowing you to use free in any given day. I've noticed that in my free space, when I'm using it in the morning, it'll cut me off. Oh, we're too busy right now serving paying users. It doesn't say that, but I know that's what they're doing, right? For more complex tasks, for instance, I write grant applications in this space. I do all kinds of more complicated, longer conversations. I pay for a chatbot because I don't want to get cut off. But for most people, um, free is going to be adequate, right? Especially if you have more than one chatbot that you've signed up for. Iterate and refine. Remember, iterate is just that fancy word for just keep going in the conversation. Ask people or ask follow-up questions. Tell it things you don't understand. Or, hey, you don't like the direction it's going, you can correct it and help it answer what you want, right? Like, that's close, but can you adjust the following? Or can you add this in? Or can you take that out? Okay. And always verify. AI is not helpful. It's not, I mean, it's helpful, but it's not infallible, right? So you'd want to check with professionals. You're not just deferring to it for medical advice. You're not, and it doesn't want to do that for you, but it will help you. Um, and, I've used it for creating travel itineraries. I'm going to be in San Diego for 4 days. Help me find hotels and restaurants. And I want to do a walking tour and I need an accessible hotel room, right? And if you do that, especially with Google's Gemini is really good for that because Google's got all those websites. Um, it will give you all kinds of information, hotels, websites for restaurants, etc. I'm not just going to take that information and show up in San Diego and think it's all going to be correct, right? You still have work that you do to confirm, make reservations, follow up, etc. Okay. All right. It's a tool. It's not a medical professional. Remember that you treat it as a tool. It is not the last word. Never share your social security numbers, passwords, financial account details, any of that, because like I said, we know it goes into the AI brain, and we want to make sure we're not putting that kind of information in there because we don't know ultimately what it's doing with it. Always confirm medical info with your healthcare team. Use AI to prepare for appointments, not replace them, right? And trust your instincts as a caregiver. So AI can support you in the decisions that you make, but you're the decider. So, what are some other ways that AI can help caregivers? Summarizing long documents, right? You can upload documents into these spaces. I'm going to just click over here. I want to make sure we finish on time. So, I'm going to start a new chat and see this little plus sign here. That means you can add files, documents, etc. Say you get a document that you don't understand, you can upload it here as long as it doesn't have personal information in it and ask it to help you understand it, right? So here, if you click on that plus, add photos, files, there are other things that you can do in this space, right? Another little note is you can dictate instead of typing. Okay. And each one has that ability, right? You'll see here in this Gemini conversation, you see that add files. Over in ChatGPT, same thing, adding files with that plus sign. Okay. Um, so you can practice conversations. Say you have a difficult conversation you want to have with a family member, um, or someone that you need to give some information to, and it's going to be difficult. You can actually have it practice the conversation, help you figure out what you want to say, what you want to cover, and how you want to engage with that person. Of course, you'd have to take that advice and then have the conversation in person, right? It won't do it for you. It won't do the hard conversations for you. You can research resources, find local support groups, respite care, benefits programs, meal planning, right? You can go to your refrigerator and say, I have ground beef, I have a can of chicken and mushroom soup, I got broccoli, and I've got cheddar cheese. What can I make for dinner from tonight from those ingredients? And it will give you recipe suggestions, right? You can also track symptoms. Say you've started a new drug, or the person you're caring for has started a new drug, and you can have it. You can log into that conversation every day and track symptoms, and it will keep those organized for you so that you could say, pull that up and take it with you to your care provider. Even for emotional support, we've heard kind of how that can go a little bit haywire or a lot haywire. Some people have had some bad outcomes, to say the least, from using it for emotional support. But it can be helpful if you remember you are talking to a robot. It's not a human being. And it doesn't really care for you, although it acts and speaks as though it does. Okay. So get started checklist. You can pick one tool to try. Just pick one of them, one of the three that I've talked about. There are others that you could try. Start with one task, simplify a medical document or organize a schedule, or just ask it a question, have it write a little story for you. Say, write a poem for my 5-year-old. She loves, unicorns. Be specific in your ask, give context. Remember that who, what, when, uh, and iterate and learn. So you can ask follow-ups, make it shorter or explain it more simply. And then you can build it into your routine if you find it useful, right? Just because we know about things existing in the tech world doesn't mean we have to adopt them all. There are certain things that we do have to learn how to use our smartphones, my chart, et cetera, et cetera. But just because something exists doesn't mean you have to use it. And oftentimes finding out about it gives us enough information to say whether we want to or not, right? Kind of helps us understand. So what I'm going to do is take a moment. If anybody has um, something they'd like me to ask a chatbot, either come off mute or put it in the message chat here. Does anybody have something they'd like to take a shot at? I have another couple of options, so we've got a little more time. If you think of something, stick it in there, type it in, or come off mute and ask me. Um, so here, let me find something interesting. Okay, let's see how each chatbot performs. Yes, it can make pictures. We'll do that. Great, great question. So here I'm going to do Claude. I'm going to type the same prompt into um, all three, and let's see how each one does. I'm starting a new chat here. Okay. All right. So here the prompt is, I have a doctor's appointment in 20 minutes and I'm overwhelmed. What are the top 5 things I should tell the doctor and ask for my elderly mother who has diabetes, high blood pressure, and recently fell, right? So here we have the most important things to cover in your appointment. This one says, so we're in Claude, the fall details, kind of when it happened. maybe why. Current medication review, right? So bringing all the medication, recent blood sugar patterns, home glucose readings if she tracks them, etc. Blood pressure readings and fall prevention plan, right? Write them down, it's recommending. So that's that's Claude. So we're going to toggle to ChatGPT. So here, kind of the same thing, right? Blood pressure trends, medication review, bring the list, safety and support at home. Okay. Google Gemini, 5 essential points. So these are all giving us basically the same answer, aren't they? Right? Medication, mobility, home safe. This is a little bit different, right? Interesting to see. Uh, red flags list, right? So, you can ask more than one chatbot, right? And that can be an interesting way to uh, use these devices. So let's look here. We have, can it make pictures? Okay, we'll do what is a tonic chronic seizure. So let's do those two because they kind of have to, making pictures sometimes. I'd love for somebody to give me a suggestion of a picture they would like me to ask it to make. That's way more fun. I'm happy to do something, but if somebody can say, have it make a picture not too complicated. But first, let's ask ChatGPT, what is a tonic chronic C? I can't type very well. Chronic. I think it's got an H in there. See, I don't even have to correct that. I don't know why I am. Chronic seizure. So we'll let that cook. If you take a photo of a document, can it read it? Typically, yes. You can then upload it as a JPEG, and it will read the document. Question from Sarah is, are there financial supports in Idaho for family caregivers who need respite? I'm not really a great one to ask that question to. I'd ask that to the group, the larger group, or if anyone in this group has an answer to that, maybe you could help Sarah. Okay. So here we have the tonic phase, stiffening, clonic. I think I should have said clonic instead of chronic, jerking, and then after the seizure, right? So it's giving us that definition, right? Okay. What would ChatGPT say about that question about respite? Ah, all right. Sorry. Let's get that. Let's ask it. Start a new chat because we don't want to be in the tonic clonic seizure. We want to be here and we'll say, are there financial supports in Idaho for family caregivers who need respite? Okay. Yes. So we have Idaho Family Caregiver Support Program, respite services. Here, it's giving us a link to Idaho Family Caregiver Support Programs at Idaho Commission on Aging, right? Medicaid waivers, giving us a website here that we can click on, right? Because we're going to be verifying this kind of information. Idaho Respite and Lifespan Respite Program, another Idaho Commission on Aging, paid care, veterans benefits, respite voucher programs for children. So it's giving us some direction, giving us a little bit of a like breadcrumbs that we can go follow up. Yeah, thanks, Dara. So anybody else have anything before we try a picture? Anybody have a picture they want me to do? Because I'm just gonna go off here. Create a picture of a, a dog dressed as a clown. Okay, so it's going to cook a little bit. You can see that it's creating the image. We have about 2 minutes. Hopefully that'll be done for us. I see it. It's coming along. There it is. Pretty cute, right? I could ask a variety of other things, but here's an image. So, does anybody else have one last question? We might have time for one more search. Otherwise, I think what we do is you'll um, want to leave the meeting, right? I know there's a way to do this, folks. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Don't just leave the room. Don't leave the meeting, and we'll all gather back with the larger group. So, thanks for coming. I enjoyed it. If you have any questions or want to talk to me more, I'm at Tina at learnidaho.org. And remember, at the top of this chat are those guides that can help you navigate, help you get started. If you don't have a chance to grab those, just email me and I'll send them your way. So thanks so much, folks. I appreciate your attention.